The secret of the Jung-Ki of Taebaek Mountain. The Korean Peninsula is a place where the DAUM tribe, which is a group of spirit souls who have the energy of the Creator most abundantly, is living on the largest scale in the world. The Korean Peninsula used to be the center of material civilization in the age of Seoncheon, and shall be the center of spiritual civilization in the age of Hucheon. The Korean Peninsula is the land where everything returns to its origin it has come from when the end times come. The Korean Peninsula is the place where the first civilization of the planet Earth began, and where the present civilization of the planet Earth shall be terminated. The Korean Peninsula is a sacred land where a new spiritual civilization shall begin first on earth, and the covenant of the Creator made at the dawn of the universe shall be executed. The Korean Peninsula is where the stargates through which the energy of the heaven is supplied are installed most heavily. The Korean Peninsula is the hub of stargates that deliver the energy supplied from the heaven to all areas of the planet Earth. The heaven has been continuously supplying its energy to the people living on the Korean Peninsula to remind them of their identity as the descendants of the heaven. The heaven has been supplying the DAUM tribe living on the Korean Peninsula with the Jung-Ki of the heaven, composed of Cheon-Ki, Ji-Ki, and In-Ki, to let them have pride and self-esteem in themselves. The heaven has been continuously supplying the Jung-Ki of the heaven to prevent the Korean people living on the Korean Peninsula from forgetting their identity. The levels of spiritual and material civilizations of a nation are determined by the nature of Cheon-Ki supplied from the heaven. The cultural and regional characteristics of a nation are determined by the nature of Ji-Ki supplied from the heaven. On the other hand, the nature of In-Ki supplied from the heaven determines the personalities of people or the character of a nation. The main system of the heaven that supplies Cheon-Ki, Ji-Ki, and In-Ki to the Korean Peninsula is located in the interdimensional space in the sky above Gyeongbokgung Palace in Seoul, South Korea. To be specific, the heavenly system that has supplied the Jung-Ki of the heaven to the Korean Peninsula is operated in a vertical organizational structure in which related systems are organized into the upper, middle, and lower layers, and the system installed above Gyeongbokgung Palace in Seoul works as the center of the entire system by existing on the middle layer. On the upper layer of the supply chain for the heavenly Jung-Ki on the Korean Peninsula, 4 energy centers are installed in 4 areas, each of which is in the north, south, east, and west of the main system, existing in the sky above Gyeongbokgung Palace. The energy centers existing on the upper layer are as follows. The Northern Energy Center is located on Baekdu Mountain that has supplied the heavenly Jung-Ki to the Korean Peninsula. The Southern Energy Center exists on Halla Mountain that has supplied the heavenly Jung-Ki to the Korean Peninsula. In the east, the heavenly Jung-Ki has been supplied to the Korean Peninsula from the energy center over the East Sea. In the west, the heavenly Jung-Ki has been supplied to the Korean Peninsula from the energy center over the West Sea. Cheon-Ki, Ji-Ki, and In-Ki supplied from the four regions in the north, south, east, and west of the Korean Peninsula have maintained the identity of the Korean people for many years. The energies of the heaven, which have come from the regions of the four cardinal directions of the Korean Peninsula, have been supplied throughout the Korean Peninsula and have dynamically acted on this land. The overall system for supplying the heavenly Jung-Ki to the Korean Peninsula has been changed little by little over time. The main center for the supply of the heavenly Jung-Ki, which had led the spiritual civilization of the Korean ancient times during the prehistoric era, was located in Mani Mountain in Ganghwa-do. Since the beginning of the period with recorded history, the supply chain for the heavenly Jung-Ki had experienced two changes during the times of the three kingdoms of Korea and the Goryeo period, and its present structure was established during the Joseon dynasty. On the middle layer of the supply chain for the heavenly Jung-Ki on the Korean Peninsula, two energy centers are located in two areas in the north and south of Seoul, respectively. The northern supply chain is installed in the sky above the Nonghyup Mountains, and the southern supply chain is located in the sky above the Taebaek Mountains. On the other hand, there are a large number of energy centers on the lower layer of the supply chain, and they are densely installed all over the Korean Peninsula to supply the heavenly Jung-Ki to this land. In the northern part of the Korean Peninsula, many energy supply centers supplying the heavenly Jung-Ki to the North Korean region have been installed along the small mountain ranges that stretch out from the Nonghyup Mountains and are operated in the form of a supply network. On the southern Korean Peninsula, the energy supply centers covering the South Korean region have been installed along the mountain ranges that extend from the Taebaek Mountains and are operated by forming a supply network. On the middle layer of the supply chain located in the sky above the Taebaek Mountains, a group of small-scale energy supply centers is in operation. which includes one energy center to supply Chun-Ki, 3 energy centers to supply Chi-Ki, and 5 energy centers to supply In-Ki. Jung-Ki, the spirit of land, supplied from Taebaek Mountain, positioned in the core of the Taebaek Mountains to the region of South Korea, has the following features. First of all, the Jung-Ki of Taebaek Mountain is characterized by a sentiment of the Korean people called Han, which represents a subtle emotional state resulting from the compounding of the unresolved sorrow, anger, and grudge. Arirang is a representative Korean folk song symbolizing this sentiment called Han, and due to the Jung-Ki of Taebaek Mountain, a Korean county called Jeongsan, located at the foot of Taebaek Mountain, became the hometown of Arirang. The Korean people's Han has been formed by the Jung-Ki supplied from Taebaek Mountain. Secondly, the Jung-Ki of Taebaek Mountain is characterized by the energy that causes people to confront and struggle with each other in terms of ideologies and thoughts. The energy from Taebaek Mountain has acted as the opposite energy to that of the Nonghyup Mountains by confronting and conflicting with each other. Two opposing energies from Taebaek Mountain and the Nonghyup Mountains colliding with each other resulted in extreme partisan struggles and regional discriminations against specific regions during the Joseon dynasty in Korea. Also, because the Jung-Ki of Taebaek Mountain has been different from that of the Nonghyup Mountains, the ideologies of liberal democracy and communism have intensely collided with each other, eventually leading to the Korean War. Even after the Korean War, the Jung-Ki supplied from Taebaek Mountain has resulted in severe confrontations between the left and the right in South Korea, and also ideological conflicts between progressives and conservatives that have not yet ended. The third characteristic of the Jung-Ki of Taebaek Mountain is the energy of indomitable determination to fight to the last moment. Thanks to this dauntless spirit of resistance supplied from Taebaek Mountain, the Korean Peninsula has succeeded in overcoming various crises, including foreign invasions or difficult domestic situations. On the other hand, due to the indomitable spirit of resistance supplied from Taebaek Mountain, inter-party strifes on the Korean Peninsula have intensified, and ideological confrontations between the left and the right have aggravated. In addition, this unyielding energy to struggle has made the spiritual war between light and darkness even more intense. The fourth characteristic of the Jung-Ki of Taebaek Mountain is the energy that inspires the Korean people to have pride and self-esteem in themselves. Koreans have a sense of pride in themselves as the descendants of the heaven, and also as the offspring of the people of Baedal, who unfolded the age of spirituality in ancient Korea. Koreans have self-esteem in themselves as the descendants of Dangun, who is the founder of the first Korean kingdom called Gojoseon, and also as the Dan tribe. Arirang plays a pivotal role in bringing together Koreans who are living or used to live on the Korean peninsula. Koreans have the consciousness that they are the descendants of the heaven in their subconsciousness and unconsciousness, whether they are living or used to live on the Korean peninsula. The Koreans who have lived or are living on the Korean peninsula have the pride in themselves as the descendants of Dangun and the consciousness of themselves as the people of Baedal in their subconsciousness and unconsciousness. The source of the energy that has instilled pride and self-esteem in Koreans as the Korean people is Jung-Ki, supplied from Taebaek mountain by the Creator who has come down to the earth. The age of Suncheon has been terminated and the age of Hucheon has been initiated. The age of Hucheon is the age of Creator as well as the age of the Korean people, the descendants of the heaven. The age of Hucheon is the times in which the Dan tribe, which are the spirit souls who have the energy of the Creator most abundantly, will play a pivotal role in unfolding a new civilization on earth. I wish all the best to the Korean people who shall run the grand universe by accompanying the Creator dwelling on the earth. In order to elucidate the meaning of the Jung-Ki of Taebaek mountain, which has inspired the Korean people to have pride and self-esteem in themselves, I, Captain Udeka, leave this message as a record. January 14th in 2021, Udeka wrote,